So you know what's crazy? We're not hearing people talk about Christian McCaffrey all that often right now. And he's leading the league in rushing, and he's starting to put together history that rivals Jerry Rice type history. And Jerry Rice is the greatest of all time, in my opinion, at any position in the NFL. So I think it's time to start talking a little bit more about Christian McCaffrey, who might be the engine of this 49ers offense, and just highlight some of the really impressive stuff that he has been doing. First, he's the first 49er to have at least 100 scrimmage yards and a touchdown in each of the first three regular season games since Jerry Rice did it. And if Christian McCaffrey picks up 100 yards from scrimmage and at least a touchdown against the Cardinals on Sunday, that will be the first time a 49ers player has done that over the first four games of a season ever. Jerry Rice was never able to do it weeks 1 through 4. So this is quite the start for Christian McCaffrey, but there's more. This goes back to last season. This goes back to the stretch run that was so prolific for the 49ers in 2022. Christian McCaffrey has scored a touchdown in 12 consecutive games. If he scores a touchdown against Arizona, it'll be 13 consecutive games, and it will match Arian Foster, Emmitt Smith, and George Rogers, who all had streaks of 13 consecutive games. If he scores touchdowns over the next 2 weeks, if McCaffrey scores against Arizona and then against Dallas, he'll match Emmitt Smith's longest streak of 14 consecutive games. John Riggins and O.J. Simpson have streaks of 15 consecutive games, and the longest in NFL history is Lenny Moore, who played for the Colts, the Baltimore Colts from 56 to 1967, 17 consecutive games. Christian McCaffrey currently at 12. Thanks to Nick Wagoner for the first of those stats, and then for a couple of those lists. ESPN's Nick Wagoner does a good job covering the 49ers. But Christian McCaffrey, the type of history he's making, certainly worth paying attention to. We can pull up the NFL next-gen stats here just to take a little bit of a deeper look at this. As you can see, McCaffrey leading the NFL in rushing at 353 yards. Looks like the next closest challenger is DeAndre Swift of the Philadelphia Eagles with 308. But where it really gets impressive is rushing yards over expectation. This is a formula that uses GPS tracking, a whole bunch of other stuff from ESPN that measures exactly what a running back is doing relative to the league average running back. And they calculate that by taking a look at all the running back data and averaging it out. And Christian McCaffrey already has 109 rushing yards over expectation this season through 3 games. For some perspective, Nick Chubb led the entire NFL with about 280 rushing yards over expectation last season over 17 games. So Christian McCaffrey over 3 games has 109 yards. His 17-game pace is a whole lot higher than 288 yards. 5.9 per carry, 1.85 rushing yards over expectation per attempt. That's great too. 3 touchdowns for Christian McCaffrey. He's facing 8-man boxes 28.3% of the time, which, I mean, we can compare it to some of these other backs. Poor Derrick Henry has to face 8-man boxes 51% of the time because that's just the deal in Tennessee. They're struggling to pass the ball. But Christian McCaffrey, well, it's on the higher end, 28.3% of the time. Teams realize how good he is, how good the 49ers run game is. So they have to stack the box. It's a pick your poison kind of thing because then the 49ers can deploy Christian McCaffrey on a pass pattern. There are other running backs in the league. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 13.7%. Raheem Mostert, 14.7%. Teams don't dare stack the box against Miami because Tyreek Hill will just, I mean, he already runs right past them. He'd run right past them and lap them if they try to stack the box. So it's different teams have different strategies, different personnel. Christian McCaffrey is at the center of the 49ers strategy, and his numbers have been just awesome so far for the 49ers this year. Again, Jerry Rice type history, the first 49er to have at least 100 scrimmage yards and a touchdown in each of his first 3 games since Jerry Rice. And even when the play isn't going to Christian McCaffrey, he's impacting it. That's the thing. Kyle Shanahan compared him to Steph Curry this offseason, saying that he has a gravitational pull. So a safety or linebacker, second defender will shade toward Christian McCaffrey, and that's going to open somebody like George Kittle up. In other situations, it can open Jawan Jennings up. It can open Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel up. It's pick your poison kind of thing with this 49ers offense. But nobody is as feared in the NFL out of that running back position in the passing game as Christian McCaffrey is. And I think that's Kyle Shanahan always talks about adaptability from his running backs, the ability to split out of the backfield, create matchup problems. McCaffrey was the dream piece for this offense because of the respect that he commands from opposing defenses. And that respect comes from his skill. When you see Elijah Mitchell take the field, for example, good player, especially when he stays healthy. I mean, he can have an impact on the field. But Christian McCaffrey, I mean, it's just that's like a meteorite hitting the opposing defense, that everything just falls out of place. Elijah Mitchell doesn't draw the same reaction from opposing defenses as Christian McCaffrey. That was very apparent when we watched the game against the New York Giants. You could see why Kyle Shanahan struggles with the notion of taking Christian McCaffrey out of football games, because he says, hey, well, I don't want to lose this gravitational force. It's not worth it. I want to keep this guy in here. I want to make sure that there's maximum spacing available at all times. And you know what the scary thing is? That Christian has left some on the table so far this year. There's the would-be touchdown catch that he wasn't able to hold on to. Probably have to credit the DB with a little bit of a play for yanking the ball loose from Christian McCaffrey on that great throw from Brock Purdy to beat yet another New York Giants blitz on Thursday. But I will say this. I will say that even if it was a great play by the DB, 99 times out of 100, Christian McCaffrey makes that catch. So why don't we do 1,000 watch for Christian McCaffrey? What's his pace like here throughout the first few games of the regular season? I'm going to bust out the calculator. I have the stats open for you right now, but this is the 2022 season. So let's move to the 2023 season. So everything is up to date. Okay, so Christian has played 3 games. He's got 353 rushing yards, and he has 70 receiving yards. Unfortunately, I don't think he's on 1,000-yard receiving pace. He certainly is on a 1,000-yard rushing pace. So if we say 70 receiving yards through 3 games, that is 23 receiving yards per game. So he's going to have to explode in the pass game for 1,000 to be a thing, because he's currently only on pace for 397 receiving yards. Rushing-wise, Christian is looking really good. 353 divided by 3. That's 118 rushing yards per game times 17. He's on pace for 2,000. Christian McCaffrey is currently on pace for a 2,000-yard rushing season. Exactly. 2,000.3, well, to be specific there. But he's on pace for 2,000 rushing yards and about 400 receiving yards. So he's going to have a couple big receiving games here if you want a 1,000 pace. Unfortunately, you can't take from the rushing total and ship it over to the receiving total. It's not like taking from your savings account and sending it over to your checking account. It doesn't work that way. But Christian would become the first player in NFL history to go 1,000 twice. He did it for Carolina. Obviously, it's happened before in the NFL with Marshall Faulk and with Roger Craig of the 49ers back in the 1980s, and then Christian McCaffrey for the Panthers. But the probability is not looking in his favor to be able to do it with the 49ers this year unless he picks up that receiving production. The thing is, he's productive even when he's not picking up stats. As a receiver, Christian McCaffrey is still drawing the defense toward him, and there's a reason the 49ers are averaging 30 points per game. And Christian McCaffrey is a big part of it. All right, so just a little shout-out to Christian McCaffrey. Everybody's talking about Purdy. Everybody's talking about other stuff. They're not talking about the engine of the 49ers offense, and that's Christian McCaffrey. Definitely wanted to mention him. All right, let's see. A comment here. Steven. When the 49ers traded for Christian McCaffrey, that was the most excited I was since the 49ers brought Deion Sanders in. I know Sanders was a free agent and not a trade, but the same feeling nonetheless. I mean, this is A-list star power. That's what A-list star power does. The 49ers are willing to trade for it. Christian McCaffrey, undoubtedly A-list star power for this football team. All right. Good stuff, everybody. Wanted to do a little quick little show, say hello late on Wednesday night. Another big day tomorrow for the 49ers as they prepare for the Cardinals. Make sure to check out the other videos that came out today. Make sure to check out the articles that came out today and make sure to stay tuned for more. Everybody hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit that little alert bell. We'll talk to you very soon.